Thank you. You didn't miss anything important. I'm trying to get set up here. This is the first time I've done a live, and I'm going solo. Corey's off frolicking in Japan, having a blast. She's loving it there. So while she's gone, spending money buying her stuff, I bought a portrait while she was gone. The size of it is gonna work out quite well for us. Let me show you. It's a little dainty machine. I think it'll work well for the RV life. Right, so I've got this Corey's Faves loaded up. I'm going to show you how I set up that file. I just wanted to test out the machine, make sure things were working. Okay, looking at the chat room. Yeah, that crazy audio was in a loop for a second. Okay, so now we're good. Let me move this portrait a bit. All right, let me switch over to my desktop. Okay, so this is the sheet I'm going to work on these Corey's Faves. Here we have a new release in the shop. We don't have a banner yet. But in here, if you go to shop new, you can always get to the latest releases. This sorts by publication date. And I am going to be cutting these Corey's Faves Kit 1, which is included in the All Products, which is on sale right now. We're trying out lower price points on releases to try and get more people the product, and hopefully at the lower price point, extra people buying will make up for what is lost in lowering the price, and we get to have more of you have this wonderful product. So that's the theory anyways. So now let me start from scratch if I can while this is cutting. But let me do that. So design. You're also going to have to forgive me. I have cut lots and lots of stickers, but I have not used this setup very much with Silhouette Studio. So it's going to take me a bit to get used to it. So let's just do file new, or we click this plus here to get a new sheet. I'm going to check in on the chat room once in a while. Bren Roberts, as far as what I like best, my viewpoint is skewed because I've spent so much time with the silhouettes and I haven't spent a lot of time with the Cricut. One thing I can say is if the majority of what you want to do is sticker sheets, then I would definitely go the silhouette route. If you're thinking more that you want to do other crafty things like cutting leather and whatnot like that, take a look at the Cricut. They have a very sturdy machine. It's very heavy, and it feels very quality. But I prefer the silhouettes because it's what I'm used to. Right now I'm using the new portrait that I bought. It's almost done cutting the sheet that I had put in there. Okay, so we'll start from scratch. Yes, it's good for budget. First sheet's cut, huh, Mary? It's funny, I'm sitting here reading the comments and there's this dead air. And I always get on Corey about that. And so I find myself doing the same thing. So sorry, Corey. All right. So starting from scratch, we will start with a new blank sheet. We come into where we have downloaded our files. And get this situated a little bit better. So I'm going to start with the stamps page 1. And so we go to the Silhouette folder, and we're going to want to bring in, oh, I didn't take out these bridge caches. I did a version 3 this morning, and I kind of did it in a hurry, so I'm going to have to take these out. It's just, it makes things confusing when there's more files in there. Both of these files need to be pulled into Silhouette Studio, so I'm just going to do them one at a time. So we've got our picture. I click, drag, and move, and then I just kind of wait until the thing shows up before I let go. It's just my thing. And then we also need the DXF file. So I clicked, dragged, and now I'm just holding my mouse button down. I don't know if it makes a difference, and I'm going to let that go on here also. One thing that is a little confusing for people if you have the upgraded version of Silhouette is that this won't pull in as one piece. See how I can move it as one piece? It pulls things in ungrouped. So let's see, edit, nope, object, ungroup. The way it pulls it in is it pulls it in like this. It looks the same, but when you go to move things, it moves individual pieces. So if you have the upgraded version of Studio and you pull this in, what you need to do is you need to group things first. So you just drag a box around this and do object group, or hit Control G. And then it makes it all one piece and you can move it around very easily. The other thing we want to make sure of is that these are the same size. So some versions pull it in as different sizes. So you click on it, you want the 6.74 width, 9.24 height, and then we want to center it on the page. And then the same thing for our graphic here too. We want this to be 6.74 by 9.24. If it's not, so let's just pretend that it's not. Let's go like this. Okay, so you pull it in and it's this size. If you want to change it, you highlight that, you do 6.74. I hit tab, 9.24, and you want to make sure that you hit enter. If you don't hit enter and you come over here and you click somewhere else, see, it didn't change it. I don't like that. 6.74, tab, 9.24, and then make sure you hit enter. See how it sized it? Okay. Now we center it on the page. I'm gonna look at the chat room here for a second. Hi from Wyoming. Cricut, I'm not going to be doing today because I'm kind of flustered doing this by myself and doing all this new, and I don't know the Cricut that well, but let's see what the question is. Why do I include kiss cut images for the Cricut when you bring in a PNG file? Oh, I do that because a lot of people have requested it because, like, for the flowers and things that aren't like really solid color, it has a hard time dealing with those. If you can get it to work for you without needing those, then you're perfectly fine doing it however you want, but I've included it for those people that want it. Yes, Silhouette all the way. Okay, so I have my 2 sheets on here. My music has stopped. I wonder how often that's going to happen. Let's do the stompin' jazz. Okay. The next thing we need is we need our registration marks. So we click here for the registration marks. And we want type 1 Cameo. And I like these settings all the way down. So I just click and drag and make sure they're all the way down. It gives, it takes it further away from this. When it registers this, See this hash mark here? That's where you can't print anything, because when it goes to read these registration marks, there's going to be problems if it's there. And the bigger these are, the more hash mark there is. And see, there would be a problem with that because there's stuff printed there. So just to give it as much room as possible, keep it as far away from our things as possible, I make them really small so they're up here in the corners. Okay, so we have our registration marks. And then the next thing we want to do is cut. So I go to send, and once you're on send, click on lines so it looks at the lines. These files I'm doing a little bit different because I'm debating on doing skewed cut lines. So I have made it so that there is this little section down here. When it cuts, you can check this before it cuts anything else to make sure that it's cutting good before you start cutting your sheet and waste a sheet. And I'll explain that in just a second, and it'll make total sense. But just know that you want to cut that orange first, because you want it to head down there. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so you want it to cut the orange first, then the green, and then the purple. And we don't need it to cut the black. We don't need it to cut this stuff out here. So then change the colors to your correct setting. I have set something up in here called KC for Kiss Cut. So we want these to be Kiss Cut. The orange doesn't matter what it is, but the green and the purple definitely do. So we want Kiss Cut on the green. You're not going to have a KC. It's something that I created. You're going to pick whatever it is that works for your sticker paper. And then for this, I pick cardstock plain. And then you also want to check your blade type, that it matches what you have. I have a ratchet blade in there, so I'm going to get my ratchet blade set up. Alright, now that you've put in all this work, you want to save it. So File, Save As, you want to save it to your hard drive. And I'm going to save it where my stuff is. Let's see, this is the 7th Corey's Faves. And we're going here, and this is stamps page 1. And you save it that way, you don't have to go through this work again. I save it to the same folder that stuff downloaded in. Checking the chat room. No pick, not sure what that means. Okay. So now I think all of this is set up. I think we're ready to cut. I need to get this other sheet off of here that I've already cut. And I pulled this stuff off with a ruler, which I don't have. It keeps the paper from curling, because if you just pull it off, you end up with that. So what I've always done is I peel a little corner, and then I hold this and I take a ruler and I slide it in there, just barely lifting it off. I've also seen other people say to lay it down flat on a table like this and peel it up and away from what you cut. And if you'll notice that that does work a lot better. That is having turned it upside down, and this is just pulling it straight off the paper. Okay, so I have another one printed here. Oh yeah, you need to print. So do File, Print, And another helpful hint is if you're printing on clear sticker paper, set it to photo paper glossy so it doesn't lay down as much ink, because clear sticker paper is essentially plastic and you don't need as much ink for that. So a hint for, this is kind of difficult, a hint for loading your sheet is you have this line here on the edge, and that's going to help you line up this edge to it. So what I always do is I just barely attach this top corner there, and then I line up this edge on that black line by twisting like this. And once you get it lined up a bit, you can get it to go the rest of the way. So like, see right there, I just got a bit of it lined up. Have that little bit lined up. Now once you have that, the rest of it will lay down nice and flat. Sorry, I can't see the chat room. And in the portrait, it looks like, oh, it wants me to line it up over there. All that really matters is that it's stuck down, and then when it's loaded in here, that this little light in here can see these. It doesn't really matter that I didn't put it on the 8.5. Or at least that I've found for these first couple cuts that I did. And when this plastic goes in here, make sure that it's butted up against this white. If you load it in, I exaggerate just to make an example. If you load it in at an angle like that, you're going to have a lot of trouble, and it's not going to cut right. So what I do is I push it in and I hold it while I hit the load button. And on the portrait, that's this button right here. Alright, so now it's loaded. Check the chat room. Kind of techie. It is a little bit techie, but it's easy to get used to with the directions. And how do I access this site? I got text on phone, but I'd like to view bigger. How do I access this site? Not sure what that means. Okay, so now this is in there, and we're gonna see about the, remember how I said you want this orange to be first? You want it to cut that first, because what it's gonna do is it's gonna come in, it's gonna register by checking these 3 corners of the sheet, and then it's going to go to the first thing that you told it to cut, and we're going to tell it to cut the orange. So it's going to come all the way down here to this corner, which is the most problematic corner, and it's going to cut this orange line. And then you're going to look. I need to use my phone and zoom in because my eyes don't work that well, so that I can see how closely it cut. Now, in theory, what you'd like to see is the cut go perfectly on this line and perfectly on that line. And that's never going to happen. But over time, you're eventually going to get used to, and this is just on these newer sheets. This isn't on any of our older sheets. I'm bringing in some of my tricks that I had from the Reset Girl. I was trying to do things as simply as possible, but people are having problems with registration and cut quality and stuff. So I'm trying to give them the tools that I had. So when it cuts, if it cuts like within this red circle, if where these cross is within there, it's gonna cut good. If it's outside, it depends on how far outside. I may go to like making some skewed files, because I doubt it's ever going to be within this red if I don't skew it. It's something that I learned when I was cutting our thousands of sheets. More than likely it'll be up in this area of where it cuts most of the time, and I'm not sure why. We went and talked to the head people at Silhouette, and they said they'd be looking into it, and haven't heard anything. Okay. So again, this orange needs to be first, and I will show you why. And then what we want to do is, so we got everything moved over, we got this done, we've set this, we've set our material, we have set our tools, we have saved our file, our cutting machine is online and ready, and we're going to click send. And it is going to register. Okay. You just got to see a registration error. And I need to switch over. So registration errors come because the square box here is not where it thinks it should be. So let's unload this sheet. I haven't used this portrait much at all, and I'm going to slide it this way a bit. And after you use your machine for a while, you'll get used to where it needs to be. This is brand new and I haven't used it before. Okay, so I'm going to send. Failed to detect, register. Okay. So it liked it that time. So moving it was a success. Okay, so it's going to do those 3 points. It goes to the upper left for some reason. Now it's going to come down and do this orange line that I was telling you about. Get your finger on the pause here. So it's going to cut that. Now we hit pause. And the machine is going to pause. And then what you do, when I was cutting our stickers, I wore one of those like jeweler's helmet things to help me see this, because my eyes just doesn't see well. So I'm going to take a picture of it. I think I am. All right. That was not a good registration. Let me get this photo uploading. Sometimes unloading it and reloading it. Yeah, so what I do is I power the machine off if it didn't, I don't know how you're supposed to really do it, but I unplug my machine and pull this out and plug it back in. There's probably a more technical, better way of doing it. And it could also be how it's lined up not quite right. I've seen that cause problems before. Okay. You know what also part of it might be is that I moved the registration marks. I made them smaller on this one than the one I printed. So that could be it too. So let me print a new one. And just to, let me check the chat room. Maybe this video on a computer. I don't find you on YouTube. I'm viewing it on my phone. Oh, this is a new channel, so I don't think that it has its own URL yet. If you could copy that link and email it to yourself. Oh, I also posted it in the Facebook group. Didn't I? Yeah, go to the Facebook group, the Crafty Club, and click on that link. So there's the link there. What was I doing? I was reprinting. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you what I got. Okay, so here's an example of what this area is for. Is you'll get used to how close to this red circle when you look at it that this needs to be. And that red circle is this down here in the lower right of your machine, of your paper, when you print it. Sorry, my computer's going a bit slow right here. That's this right here. And again, perfect would be right on top of these lines. Very good is if where these two cross is within the red. That's really good. And this is definitely not worth cutting. So this would be why I'm kind of shifting over to these new files with the tricks that I had from the Reset Girl to help y'all with your sheets. You can tell before it ever even touches your sheet that this is not going to be good, so you can just stop and regroup and try to figure out what the problem is. Like for me, I believe the problem was that I changed the size of the registration marks. So let me go get my new sheet. Yeah, that's the problem. Notice the difference. I had originally set it up like this, and the distance from there to there, look at that difference. So that's the reason this registration went wacky, but that's okay. It let you see me troubleshoot, which is what I was thinking. I was thinking how awkward this would be having mistakes in front of you, but then I was thinking, well, that's not that bad. They're awesome learning time. So again, I line that up in that corner. I rotate this, holding it, so that this line lines up with that. And then I lay the sheet down. You would not believe how long it took me to develop that technique. You want it to be as straight as possible. All right, let's try this. Load this in there. Check the chat room. Only seeing computer image still. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to change the camera. Okay. I can show you again. All right. So, now let's try this again with the registration marks set different. Checking this, orange first, then green, then purple. You want this set for your kiss cut, whatever that is. Mine says KC because I made a custom one under your material. You want the green to be kiss cut, and the purple one you want to be whatever setting it is for your full cut. Set your blade to whichever blade you're using, and save your file. So we've done all that, and now I'm going to click resume. Oops. Yeah, so now it's going to re-register. It's doing those 3 points. Now it's going to cut the lower right. You're going to get ready on the pause. Pause it. Use whatever you use to check your cut line. If I can find mine. Okay, this one's much better. And see, I didn't have to, well, I did waste a sheet because I printed it wrong. I was about to say I didn't have to waste a sheet to figure this out, but I did. Okay, I'm gonna let that continue since it's good, and then I'm going to show you. So I'm going to hit that pause again. And now what it's cutting, let me explain this first. What it's cutting is the top, what it's cutting is these top squares. Let me show that to you. What it's cutting first is these up here. And the reason for these was, again, another trick that I learned from doing sheets for us that I designed, is you can check the quality of your cut for the sticker sheet without having to touch this sheet. Because what happened was I realized as blades get old and stuff, they don't cut as well. I didn't know when sheets had cut well. And I didn't want to pull the stickers part way up and then lay them back down to figure out if it had cut well. I wanted things to be pristine. So I designed these up here to be cut first so that when you pull this off, you check to see how these cut. If these cut well, then you know your sticker sheet probably cut well. If these didn't cut well, then you know there's probably problems here and this may be a misfit, and you handle it as you want. So back to the chat room. Yes, Lady Prepper, it does help to see people make mistakes for troubleshooting and how you think things through to get that. This is the B. This is the Portrait 2. I just got it a few days ago. Corey's in Japan spending money on stationery, so while she was gone, I figured, I'm going to get the new Portrait. Or I don't know if it's new, but I don't have the smaller version, and I had seen people in the group saying how this is a perfect item to get for cutting sticker sheets, if that's the majority of what you want to do, because its price point is really good. I think it's like $130 on Amazon, and it's really small, and it just works primo for this. Okay, so I explained the things at the top. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you the new cut that I had. So this was the new registration that happened. So again, I have to use my phone because I can't see that close. So I take my phone, I put it on camera, I pinch zoom in, and I snap a picture. And then as you can see here, like I was saying, if it's within the red, that's going to give you a good cut. You would ideally like it perfectly on these lines, but that's rarely ever going to happen. Okay, so so now it's doing the full cut around the edge of the sheet. And then I'm going to pull it off and show you the top green things that I was talking about so you can see your sticker cut quality. And this is the unload button. So peel this off. And up here, what I would do was, because we were cutting so many sheets, I had 12 machines cutting at a time. We were cutting so many sheets that we had to go through this quickly, and I would just take a ruler. I don't have a ruler, so let me use a butter knife. I would just peel it like this and then watch them curl up as I did it. Another way you can do it is just take your sheet and peel this off and make sure that I'm doing the wrong side. I'm like, oh, this cut was horrible. Peel this up. You want to make sure that all those stickers stay behind. If they all stayed behind pristine like that, you know you got an excellent, excellent cut. As your blade gets older and dull, it'll sometimes pull up little parts of it, and you can still deal with that, especially since it's your sheet and you're not sending it out to a customer. But if it pulls a lot of the stickers up with it, then you're in the market for either a new blade, or you need to go back and adjust your settings because they're not right. So what I used to do, let me make sure that I'm on the right camera so that I don't mess this up again. Yep, right camera. Was we did so many sheets at a time that I'd just peel this up, I'd lay this against my stomach, and I'd run a ruler right under there and zip it right off. What others have shown to do is lay it down flat like this on a table, and then hold the sheet down, and then peel this up like this, and this gives you a decent quality. All right, so there is our sheet. These work really well with clear sticker stock. That's the way Corey loves it. Also, what I did was to make these easier to get off your sheet, and another way you can check your sticker quality is there's a green line that goes down this side and this side. And what that allows you to do is peel off all the extra, if you so choose, all the extra around the stickers, and then you know, again, that you have a pristine sticker cut. And it leaves a strip here, and I leave that strip there so that when you punch it to put in your sticker book, it's something beefier to hold on to. So there's that one. Are there any questions? I'm going to pause here for a bit as the video is like 40 seconds. The chat room is 40 seconds behind what I'm saying. Okay. Start the music. Start the music. Start the music. The sheets are half letter. I can get you exact dimensions. Where's the ruler? Oh. They're approximately 5.5 by 8.5. And they were designed to go into half letter sticker book that Corey made that you can see on our blog. If you go through our blog, you'll see this post, and it's Corey going through.
Hi everybody! I just wanted to show you the awesome little sticker book that I ended up with from Mr. Crafty. I asked him the other day if he could make me some sticker sheets.
Here's the directions.
Featuring my very favorite stickers of all time, and I wanted them to get set up in this little half size.
Okay, questions. Okay, any other questions? Anybody need help? No, this smaller machine will do 8.5 by 11. What it won't do is the 12 by 12. The other Cameo, put it behind it. For size comparison, here's the portrait. It'll do 8.5 by 11. Or actually, I think it's unlimited length, like if you run vinyl through here. And I'm not sure the exact width that it'll do, but I know it'll do our sticker sheets, which is 8.5, and so that's the Portrait 2. And here's in size comparison is the Cameo 3, and it'll do 12 by 12 sheets, like if you like doing die cuts on your 12 by 12 paper. That machine will do that. It's more expensive. The Portrait has a lower price point. Did what I show make sense? Is there anything that I went over too quickly? I've cut thousands of sheets, so I have a tendency to here was my domain. Had 12 cameos cutting. I love that setup. It was amazing that you could do 12 of them at a time, actually. Oh, you couldn't see the size difference. Yeah, having multiple cameras is difficult. Let me try this. Doing this solo is kind of difficult. So here's the Portrait, and here's the larger Cameo. That'll do 12 by 12 in the Portrait. Okay, I guess there's no problems out there. All is well in the Silhouette world. You're welcome, B. Thank you all so much for all your support of our shop. I appreciate it. Had 12 viewers. 14, wow. Just think about how many Corey has. It's funny. You're welcome, B. You can get them new, obviously, from like Amazon for $130. You can also get them used, although you do have to be careful because you never know how much wear and tear one of these machines has had on it, and if people, how they treated it, especially people getting used to it. They'll just have it cut really deep, and it'll cut into the silhouette mats, and eventually the motors they wear out, because when you cut that hard into it, they don't work well. That's I had bought one used from actually a Michaels, and I got it home and it had that problem. It was all messed up. How long did it take to make her book? Probably 3 or 4 days, I think. There's a few people in the Facebook group that have some incredible books. Paula, Miss Crafty Destinations, hers is like a few inches thick. Bessie, hers is a few inches thick. Thank you, Lady Prepper. I think it went okay. I get nervous. I think everybody does. It helps that there's only 12 people watching, to be honest. You know your mistakes aren't like to hundreds or thousands or something like that. Okay. No questions, no comments. I think I can wrap this up if I don't see any other questions. Nobody said whether I made sense or not. What I normally think of is when nobody says that they get it, it's just people being polite, and they feel like the odd man out, like, boy, I'm the only one here that doesn't understand what he was talking about, so I'm just not going to say anything and figure it out for myself. Or at least that's what I do. Please don't do that. It's a small group, small intimate group. If you don't get something, there's probably other people who don't also. Yeah, it took me like 4 or 5 hours to set up for this because it was my first time, and I had to get the new YouTube channel set up and the graphics set up and the camera set up because we don't stay set up, obviously, being mobile. Ah, the blade depth. That one I think I've done a separate video on, and what I need to do is just film a short, concise video on how to do blade depth, because that isn't tricky, but once you see how I do it, it makes it much easier. So when you get your machine, if I'm on a live, let me know. I'll help you out. I also plan on doing a video to help with that, because that can be one thing that's extremely frustrating, is not getting your stickers the way you want them. So on the blade depth, online labels, so I just did a search for online labels blade depth. This is where I get my sticker sheets from, and on here supposedly they have, and this is where we link our sticker paper from, is this company. They have listed the material code, and what the settings should be. Where can you ask more questions? You know, I've been wondering about that, because Corey's trying to keep the Crafty Club crafty, trying to keep it organized, inviting for everyone, and it's almost like those of us who cut stickers are a smaller group, and there's so many questions on it that we may bombard the group, and also we try to keep the group as a place not to ask questions, to email the help desk, so that it's more of just a place of sharing. So I've thought about starting a Facebook group, or maybe when the forums open up, doing that, because it would be really nice to have a place where people could talk and share and help others with problems. Okay, I think I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much for joining me today, keeping me company, giving me something to do while Corey's gone, staying busy. Alright, I'm going to sign off if I can figure out how to do that on this system.